Hi, today is another beautiful Florida summer day, and I will be working on this 2015 Tacoma. It has 160,000 miles, and um, for these 5 years, I have never flushed a coolant. I supposed to change for flush the coolant at 100,000 miles, but anyway, right now we are at 160,000 miles in 2020, and I'm just making this video just to remind myself what I did and what mistakes I made, and etc. Basically, the first step I'm going to do is make sure the engine, my truck is cool, engine is cool to touch, um, and then I'll be opening this radiator cap to release the pressure. I'll also open this, and there are two ways you can flush it. Actually, there's only one way to drain the radiator fluid. It's on the passenger side. Sorry, it's on the driver's side. That is a valve or the right there. Basically, you do not and here is the skid plate. Some people say we need to remove the skid plate, but not in my truck. This is a 2015 Tacoma Prerunner 4-cylinder automatic, and as you can see right there, it's very easy to access. You open that valve. I connected this little pipe here, and the coolant will be flushing it out right into this bucket. For this project, I'll be using distilled water from Walmart, and it's pretty cheap, so grab about 5 gallons of those if you want to flush out the radiator and the system a couple of times. They are about 78 cents a gallon. I'll be using the Toyota 5050 super long life antifreeze coolant that you can get it from your dealer. They range anywhere from $15 to $28. Sometimes they are on sale, they are online, but make sure they are original, not the fake one. Alright, so as I explained before, there is a radiator flush valve on the driver's side in the front, right under the skid plate. There is access for it as well, right here. Again, I'll show you. And I'm doing this first time, so I'm learning as I'm recording this. And let's see, I open this up. This valve here. You may have to use a plier first time to loosen it up, but don't break it because it is plastic. So here it goes. I guess I definitely need to put the camera aside. I gave it a 1 full turn and nothing came out, so let me put the camera aside and let's see, open it up some more. Well, it's coming out pretty clean after 160,000 miles. As you can see, pink, still pink. I'm wondering if I should open it anymore or not. that plastic valve may just come out completely, but let's see. Watch. Let this get this drained out, and we'll fill it up with the distilled water. Alright, so I flushed out the radiator twice with distilled water, and after about 2 gallons the water started coming out clean from the radiator. As you can see, I've filtered out the radiator, flushed out the radiator with the distilled water twice, and the water was still pretty pink. And after 2 gallons it started coming out clean, so I shut off the valve right there. I shut it off, and then I filled the radiator with the distilled water full, and I also filled the overflow reservoir full with the distilled water as well. And now I'm going to start the engine and bring it up to the operating temperature, and then I'll turn on the heater that will, on high, that will allow the distilled water to start circulating through the engine blocks, because there is another engine block drain that you'll be supposed to drain the coolant from, which is right there on the passenger side, just above the wheel. You can put a long wrench and open it up, and basically it's right there. If you can see it, right there, right in the center of the screen, you can see it right there. You open it up and it will come out, but I don't want to mess with it in my truck. You can also access it from underside. It's basically right next to the filter. I mean, you cannot miss it. It's right here is the filter. And right there, that it is. Okay, and you can also hook up the your 3/8 clear pipe with it, so it will flush out in the pipe if you want. But I'm not going to do all that. I think I would just like to leave that alone in my truck. So before we start the engine, like I said, I filled it up with the distilled water, both the radiator and the reservoir. I'm going to keep this open, but just going to leave it here, the cap. I'm not going to tighten it to let the air bubble come out, and also to make sure nothing falls in it while I start the engine. So, like I said, I'm going to bring the temperature up to the operating temperature, which is about right in the middle, and then my plan is to start the heater hopefully, and then I'll shut it off, let it cool down, and then I'll drain the radiator again. That will take out the most of the coolant from the engine block. As you can see, the temperature is rising very fast. Let's go out and take a look. As you can see, the air bubble is coming out. There it is. Some more. Some more are coming out. I'm gonna shut this off. I tighten it. I'm gonna leave this open for a little bit. Let's go check the temperature again. As you can see, the temperature is still rising. I haven't started the interior heater yet, but I think I feel safe to start it now. So I'm gonna turn on the fan on the high. Make sure the AC is off, interior air is off, and I'm gonna turn the heater all the way. And definitely the heat has started coming in. I mean, definitely in Florida you can feel it because it's already hot, and now it's turning really hot. The coolant or the distilled water is circulating through the engine core. Let's check the temperature. Temperature is also rising, but it's still not at operating temperature yet, but it will be there soon. Should I rev the engine? Maybe, probably not. Maybe I'll do it one time. Well, it's definitely approaching the operating temperature. It's cool. I'm gonna go outside and shut off the cap from a reservoir. Alright, shutting off the reservoir cap. Now the cooling system is under pressure. Make sure I never let the engine run without any water or coolant. Alright, the engine is at the operator temperature now. I'm gonna give it a couple of revs to agitate the system. Alright, I'm gonna come back to temperature. Right in the middle, and now I'll shut off the fan. And so we started the engine, turn on the heater, and let the coolant agitate a little bit for 5 minutes. Now I'm going to open this up, release the pressure. The engine is semi-cooled. It still has the distilled water in the radiator. I'm gonna open up this valve again and start the engine and with the heater, and at the same time I'll be keep filling the radiator with the distilled water, and to see if anything comes out. If not, then I'm gonna shut off the engine and then fill it up with the coolant. There it is. Looks like the water definitely went through a system. Now let's start the... Alright, the engine is on, and I'm gonna keep filling this with the water. I'm gonna empty out the 1 gallon. And then I'll shut off the engine. The engine is on, the heat is on. Make sure the radiator is never empty. Clear water is coming in, that's a great sign. I believe the water is circulating through the engine core. I'll shut off the engine now. Alright, the engine is off. The radiator is still draining with the clear water. That's perfect. Little bit of pink water is coming in out. Definitely hot water. Oh, still a pink water coming out. I think we have hit the engine block. That's perfect. The good thing is I don't see any chunk or anything. I'm gonna go ahead and put 1 more gallon of water. Alright, so after filling and draining the radiator with 1 more gallon of distilled water, I filled it with Toyota 5050 super long life anti-frizz coolant, and coolant went up. I filled it all the way up. Also filled the reservoir to the full cold line, and then I left this open, the cap open, also the radiator cap open, started the engine. I let it run for about 2 minutes to let it burp out, and I filled, as the fluid went down into the engine block, I filled it some more, and all the way to the top, and then I closed the reservoir, the radiator cap, and then I closed the reservoir cap as well. And now I drove the vehicle for about 15-20 minutes, and there are still some distilled water in the system, so I expect that this level will go down in the next coming few days. If it does, I'll fill it up, and when the engine is cool, I'll also open this up, and I'll make sure that it's full. It's filled all the way up. So that's my way to do it. The 2015 Tacoma Coolant flush. I did not use any chemicals to flush the system. I do not recommend to use any chemicals. I don't think anybody needs to, because the fluid is very good. It doesn't clog up or anything. Like I said, this is 2015 Tacoma 2.7, and It has 160,000 miles, and this was the first time I changed the coolant, and they still came out pretty good. I used about 5 gallons of distilled water. As you can see, the color from right to left. This is the coolant came out originally. The first one, then I put the distilled water, and you can see the color went down and down and down and then clear. So basically, you need to invest in about 6 gallon of I need to invest in about 6 gallon of distilled water. It cost about $4, not much. And about a gallon, I would keep a 2 gallon of Toyota 5050 original long life coolant, specified for your specific vehicle. Like I said, I'm not a mechanic. These videos are just for entertainment purposes, and I do not advise anything. I always recommend you get all your services and maintenance done at the dealership, and this is just for me to see how I did, and for my memories and what I did right and wrong. Hope somebody learns from my mistakes, and check out my other videos. Thank you. Subscribe, please.